week's episode of Gundam Build Fighters Try. The Gunpla National Tournament is underway. The brackets are announced, and Team Tri-Fighters have their very first match, which does not disappoint. We get our very first look at their brand new Gunpla, and we get to see a lot of their brand new abilities. There's the Star-winning Gundam, there's the Tri-burning Gundam, and then of course there is the Lightning Gundam full burning. This was a really great episode, and I might be committing Gundam sacrilege when I say this, but it's honestly the most exciting Gundam anime I have seen in years, and has really reinvigorated my love of the franchise. That's not to say there have been bad entries in the series. I think Gundam Unicorn is beyond solid and one of the best additions to the Universal Century storyline in years, and I cannot wait for the brand new Gundam The Origin OVA series, which is coming out, especially because there is going to be an English release for that, and that is going to be a day one purchase for me, but that is a topic for another video. This week's episode was great. It basically is starting up the big national tournament. We get to see where they're going to be fighting, which is the Yajima Stadium, the holy site of Gunpla. They literally call it the holy site of Gunpla. It's both badass and kind of hilarious all at the same time. And it's apparently right next to that one stadium that they had in the first season where the big Plasky particle was at the bottom and it destroyed everything. And this is basically like a monument to that. And this is actually seen in the intro of the show, and I'm guessing that's actually Tatsuya Yuki, Meijin Kawaguchi actually hanging out right on top there. And speaking of the intro, I mentioned it in last week's episode because it was new, but damn, it's really good. I really love it. Like, I've been listening to the song a lot. I love the imagery, and the thing I loved most about the intro is all of the hints it gives you to all the brand new Gunpla that are going to appear. And before I get into the rest of the review, before I forget this, I just want to mention this. All the brand new Gunpla for Team Tri-Fighters are awesome. I love the designs of them. I love that they don't deviate too much from their original Gunpla, but they're still different enough and they have brand new abilities. And I love Tri-Burning and I love the new Lightning, but the winning Star Gundam, the Star-winning Gundam, I just love the design of this first and foremost because I love the weird, like, angular beam spikes that are coming off of its body, if that's what they are. Maybe they're just shields. But in this week's episode, you get to see that Fumina can actually use those as funnels, which is something that we've seen in other Gundam. They fly off her body and can be used as individual beam weapons in different directions, and then can be called back. She even transforms back into her core fighter mode and can fire beam shuriken, which is just awesome right there. But there's going to be so much more to Star-winning Gundam, and that's because my theory is this Gunpla is going to be able to transform into a full-sized regular Gunpla, and that's because it's an SD Gundam. But if you look at the funnels on its back and all the different pieces on its body, those clearly look like the bigger pieces of a regular Gunpla. And in particular, the funnels on the back look just like legs. They look like the shins of a Gundam, and there's a scene in the intro of the show where you have Lady Kawaguchi and you have Fumina looking at each other, and then suddenly this Gunpla flies right between them, and it's all silhouetted except for those green, weird, spiky parts coming off of Star-winning Gundam, and it looks like a full version of that Gunpla itself, which could only mean it's going to transform into that. And Fumina even said she wanted to strengthen her own Gunpla. She's still going to keep all the attachments for burning and lightning and can still do all that stuff, but this is basically going to be her brand new ace in the hole, and when she was showing off her design in the last episode, she actually didn't show that directly to the viewer because they are holding off on showing this, and that's just my personal theory on it, and I think if that happens, it's going to be awesome, and I have to get that Gunpla if that happens, because if you buy that and you can actually make it transform, that makes it one of the most uniquely awesome Gunpla that I have ever seen. But let's get back on track here. Let's talk about this week's episode, which is the beginning of the national tournament. The opening of the episode leaves room for a lot of comedy. When they finally arrive at Yajima Stadium, everybody there is waiting for them. Gunpla Academy walks in, everybody wants a piece of these guys, but the scene that really just left me with stitches on my sides was the scene where Minato is trying to make this quick escape. He doesn't want to be seen by Yuma, and he gets into this elevator, and he's really pissed off because he wants their first confrontation to be really epic, like something out of an anime series, and he's basically going over in his mind how it's going to go down, and he even has these fake glasses that apparently are real. He keeps them with him at all times, and he does this great impression of Yuma, when suddenly Yuma just opens the door and ruins his entire confrontation with him, which ends up being really funny, especially when the doors close on him as he's having this little child tantrum. It's really damn funny and just illustrates that this show is just having having a lot of fun. And then that's when things start to get a little more serious, when we get to see that Gunpla Academy is a little freaked out, that Junya Inose is going to be in the tournament. Not to mention, they didn't even bring up Lucas Nemesis again, the guy from the last episode. There's a lot of amazing opponents in this tournament, and I cannot wait to see what they're going to be capable of. And by the end of the episode, we're getting ready for our very first match, but first we have to get the brackets, and that's where Mirai Kamiki comes in, and what might be one of the best hilarious scenes of the entire series. So, if you guys remember, her good friend Karen, who was actually the person who won that race, is pregnant. She's preggers, so she can't actually preside over this entire tournament, so she passes on these duties to Mirai Kamiki, and I am not going to complain, because she is fine as all hell, and apparently everybody else thinks that, because when she comes out and just does this one pose, all of these hearts explode from her body, and they make this old school Gundam beam sound effect, which then explodes into the hearts of all the male people in the entire arena, and it is really damn funny. And it's also funny because, of course, Fumino and Sekai are going to give Yuma a hard time, because now he has thousands of rivals. The end of the episode is pretty much just all raw action, and you know I'm not going to complain with any of that, because it's an excuse to see what Team Tri-Fighters can do with their brand new Gunpla. I've already talked about Star winning, how it has the beam shuriken, and how it can detach its funnels, but then you have Burning Gundam, which basically has all of these armor pieces which explode off of its body, and then all the fire can go all over the place, and it can use it to fire its big Phoenix attack, and then of course it can use its tried and true punch ability, which it uses to punch through an entire meteorite. But the one that really surprised me just as much as Star winning Gundam was probably the Lightning Gundam, especially the battle it had with the Kyros Raider, which was using its Trans Am, and I just love the animation of them flying through the meteorite field. It looked really impressive, and it was really cool that even though that Gundam was using its Trans Am, which in that series basically makes it almost impossible to catch, Yuma wasn't even using anything special and was still able to defeat him. And there it is! Team Tri-Fighters have won the very first match of the national tournament, and they could have ended the episode right there, but this is one of those series that loves to do post-credit scenes, and it was a fantastic tease this week because we get our very first glimpses of what Minato's Gunpla is going to be and how his team works, and basically, it's the Voltron Gundam. Yeah, but I'm not gonna complain, it's friggin' awesome. It's a big manta ray mobile suit, a lion, and an eagle, and if the intro is any indication, they are going to combine together to form Voltron of Kickassery, and I honestly don't want Minato to lose the tournament if he has a Gunpla that cool. He is definitely I think, one of the funniest characters of the entire series, and he has really grown on me. I love how serious he is about battling Yuma, and how he actually just wants to be with Fumina at the same time. He's a very odd character who can be kind of bipolar at moments, but I just love watching him. He's just a freaking riot. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Gundam Build Fighters Try? Another freaking great episode. It's such a simple series, too. Like, it still surprises me, because, you know, I watch a lot of anime, and a lot of stuff I have been spoiled by, and there's a lot of stuff in the show which honestly is not that high quality, yet I'm constantly sucked in by the characters and the humor. I love the music, and of course just all of the Gundam fan service is just fantastic. The battle at the end of this week's episode was a lot of fun, and I just loved all the humor at the beginning this week, and just how many characters they keep introducing. It's crazy. And one thing that a lot of people have been complaining about, some people want to see like a clear-cut villain for the series, and I'm kind of okay with that, because that's something that we've seen all the time. We don't always have to have that type of conflict, and I think eventually it could lead to something like that, especially with the character of Inose Junya. But I just love the fact that there's so many different opponents, and, you know, you have the Gunpla Academy, which everybody's out for them because they've won the most tournaments and everything, but then you have characters like Inose Junya, who even they fear. They're afraid of this guy. They're freaked out. The minute his name is uttered, Ado Saga's like, holy crap! And it lets you realize that, you know, anybody could possibly win this tournament, although, let's not kid ourselves, it's going to be Team Tri-Fighters. I still can't wait to see how they're going to bring in some of the other old characters from the series. I mean, it's inevitable we're going to have to see Sei Iori. They're going to have to explain something about that Build Burning Gundam. Not only that, but that can bring in Reiji, and then maybe even a few other older characters, which they even hinted at this week's episode at the very beginning when they show that little flashback when they were talking about the holy site of Gunpla, which is awesome. I love it. Still, I love this week's episode. It had a lot of flash and really good animation, especially in the final battle scene, especially with the Lightning Gundam flying around the different meteorites. That looked really impressive. and just all the armor pieces breaking off of build burning, and star-winning Gundam has continued to surprise me. I thought that was going to be like one of my least favorite Gunpla, and actually, it might be my favorite Gundam of the entire Team Tri-Fighters teams. So there it is, Gundam Build Fighters Tri is awesome. This week's episode was a lot of fun. It had great animation, lots of humor, lots of brand new characters showing up, a lot of action at the end. Now that we're at the national tournaments, things are really going to kick into high gear, and you can rest assured that we're probably going to have some amazing battles in the coming episodes. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen, and honestly, I wouldn't mind if they decided to extend this into a 50-episode series, because this is honestly one of the shows that I really look forward to every week, and I just get really excited when I watch it. It's not the most revolutionary thing in the world, but I'll be damned if it isn't one of the most fun anime series that I've ever seen, and one of my favorite Gundam anime of all time. I'm giving this week's episode a 5 out of 5. I had no complaints with it. I love everything about this series, and I really hope with the recent announcement that Right Stuf is going to start distributing Gundam anime DVDs, a lot of the old ones like Double Zeta, I really hope eventually they get to this series, because I would kill to have this in my collection. I want to rewatch this series all the time. I absolutely love it. But for the time being, let's enjoy it while we have it. Gundam Build Fighters Tri. Awesome episode. Check it out, guys. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Gundam Build Fighters Tri. Did you guys have a favorite scene from this week's episode? Something comedy related? Something action related? What did you think of Minato's combining Gunpla at the end of this week's episode? And what do you want to see from the rest of this season? Remember guys, if you have not subscribed to our channel, you can do that by clicking on the channel icon right up here. It's really easy to do. You can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.